Welcome back to Godfall Challenger Edition. In this video we are going through how to progress in the endgame. I recently did a video, what is the endgame in Godfall Challenger Edition, just so that everyone would kind of get an understanding as to how the modes work, but I went through it in a really basic manner because I wanted to bring you this video where I go through it in a lot more depth. So when you first load up the game, you get your character level 50, you do a bit of training, however you want to play it, you're going to jump into the end game. That's all there is available in the Challenger Edition. You are going to have 3 different game modes that you can jump into, and they all have different variations, so it mixes it up a little bit. And you start off with the Tower of Trials, and then you have a variant being Ascended Tower of Trials. Then you have Dreamstones, you have standard ones, and then you have Volatile, and then you have Lightbringer. You have 4 different variations being Earth, Air, Fire, and Water. What I recommend, my tips on how to progress in the end game, is start off with the Tower of Trials, get yourself used to it. Tower of Trials is basically you go onto an elevator, you deal with enemies on a time basis, you get awarded some keys, then you get a reward put on a few different doors. Then you choose a door to go through. The rewards will have different rarities, all the way up to legendary. You go through the door, out into an arena, you fight enemies. In the Ascended, I'm not sure if it does it in the basic tower, but you'll have either a time trial or a survival trial. Survival, you kill the enemies, then you go and grab your loot. The time trial, you do it as fast as you can. If you can do it quick enough, you'll be awarded a bunch of keys. The keys are going to be really helpful because they are going to unlock chests as you progress and start getting different gear pieces, different weapons, and other things like that. In the tower, you will get boons, which will help you out, and then you'll also get banes, which are against you. So boons will give you things like whenever you defeat an enemy, you get 2% of your health back, and like different modifiers to give you a benefit. And then the banes in the normal tower, around floor 5 is like halfway through where you get your bane. It will be things against you, but you still get rewarded in some way, because even though it's against you, the harder challenge you pick, the bigger your loot percentage bonus. So it could be something like your parry window is 50% slower, like smaller. However, you'll have an extra 5% better loot out of chests. That's exactly how the banes work. As I said, the boons work in your favour. All you do with the Tower of Trials is progress up floors. In the standard one there are 10. I've seen 20, not sure if it does go further in the Ascended one. Your aim is to get all 10 done. It shouldn't be too hard as long as you've looked at the keybinds and you have a basic understanding of the game. But the Ascended one is going to give you much better loot. You do get checkpoints in these modes, so don't worry about dying your first time. The game is actually quite forgiving. So go through, grab yourself some loot. Then once you get a little feel for the game, you're going to jump into the Ascended. And Ascended is really, really good because not only is it more difficult and more rewarding, instead of just your standard legendary bits of gear, you can get primal pieces of gear. These primal pieces are going to be stronger than your standard legendary. And believe it or not, legendary has the biggest chance of dropping primal. It can drop across all rarities. It's just legendary has the biggest chance because it's the rarest drop to get. So as you get further into the Ascended Tower and your loot starts becoming a higher rarity, when you start getting to that legendary stuff, you've got a decent chance of it being primal. Primal's going to help you out a lot. One little tip I can give you with the Ascended Tower, because you have these things called Coins of Valor. You will need to spend them to gain access to the towers. Standard's going to cost you 5, Ascended will cost you 20. In order to earn Coins of Valor is through Dreamstones. However, you don't need to do that if you're wanting to play the Ascended. If you jump into matchmaking and you look for a game, it doesn't charge you any Coins of Valor. A lot of you might want to play by yourself. Matchmaking doesn't always find a player, and if it doesn't, it will chuck you in by yourself and you won't have to pay any Coins of Valor. And then what we're going to do is move on to Lightbringer. We're going to ignore Dreamstones for now. Dreamstones is where you're going to improve the gear that you get from Lightbringer And it's really important that you do this because Lightbringer drops some of the best gear in the game. So Lightbringer is a mode where you start off in the darkness meter is building up, you'll see it at the bottom left of your screen when you're playing. And the higher that gets, the quicker your health drains. There are groups of enemies in this level. And then you have these beacons. If you melee the beacons a few times, it will brighten up the area and your darkness rating will go down. However, you need to make your way through until you get to the boss part essentially. You'll get an objective. Mine was defeating 25 enemies, and then you can seal it off. It kills all the enemies off and you can get some cool loot. With this loot, it can be something called cursed. When you initially pick it up, it's going to have attributes that are against you. They're not going to work in your favor. So you might get negative crit damage or something like that. And at this point, you're probably thinking, well, how's that any better than Primal or Standard Legendary? Before we jump into that, just quickly, after I sealed up the area for the first time, I had to escort this, Orb of Light. I had to take it back to the beginning, and the enemies can actually try and take over. But I got it back to the beginning, then I ran back out, looked for another, boss area to seal off, and yeah, I kind of died at that point. But this cursed gear, when you obtain it, it's going to have negative attributes that are going to work against you. At the bottom of the piece of gear, you'll see an objective. There's a decent range of different things it can be, but for pure example, you might get an objective. In order to basically upgrade your cursed piece of gear, you're going to have to go and defeat 5 bosses in the Tower of Trials. Or you'll have to defeat 5 level 50 bosses in Dreamstones. That's why Dreamstones is being spoken about last, because it's the most important. As the cursed gear comes from Lightbringer, you get that, and then some of your objectives are going to be in the towers, some will be in Dreamstones. And Dreamstones can be really, really tough, especially if you don't know what you're doing. And I don't mean that in terms of difficulty actually completing Dreamstones, but basically your goal with the cursed gear is every time you complete an objective on that specific piece of gear, you will remove the negative effect of one of the attributes. So if you get a legendary, 3 attributes, you have to then go and do 3 different objectives in order to stop it being cursed. And when you do, it's going to have some really cool effects. It's going to have some high stats and all that stuff that is going to help you out. One of the challenges or objectives can be to take down level 65 bosses. So you need to kind of use all these modes in unison, and you need to work on improving your build. That's why I like the Ascended Tower, because it awards better loot than the Standard Tower. And through matchmaking, you don't have to pay any coins of Valor. Unfortunately, you cannot actually matchmake for the Standard Tower. It is just the Ascended. But as I said, the Ascended awards better loot, so in my personal opinion, I don't see the point of playing the Standard Tower when I'm not paying coins of Valor and I have higher chances of better loot. So we've gone through Primal gear, we've gone through Cursed gear, Primal being from the Ascended Tower, Cursed being from Lightbringer, and then inside the Dreamstones, you have 2 different variants. You have Standard and Volatile. Mine have all started off at level 30 to 38 or possibly 40. And these are essentially hunts, so you jump into an arena and you take down a few different enemy groups, and then you go and you take down the boss. But what you want to do is pick a Dreamstone that you want to start, and then you want to actually jump into the Dreamstone itself by taking down these different hunts, and you will be awarded coins of Valor, which you can use on the towers. That's if you don't want to do matchmaking with Ascended, you'd rather just pay and guarantee that it's solo. Each of the initial Dreamstones that I did awarded me 5 coins of Valor every time, and they really don't take long. The first one was done in 2 minutes. Some of them, however, can take a little bit longer. But with this Dreamstone, it's split off into rounds, and the further you get, the better the rewards on your Dreamstone. So I would advise doing at least a few rounds, and then see how you feel. I'm not entirely sure what happens if you fail. So what you're going to do is start doing the hunts, and you're going to level up your Dreamstone, the reward you're going to get for the end of it. And after, I believe it was 4 rounds for me, I unlocked the addition of a volatile Dreamstone. So now what I can do is make my way back to Dreamstones, and I can pick a volatile one to play. The volatiles are obviously going to give you better rewards, they're going to be tougher, and what you want to do is look for a boon that at the bottom left of your screen will tell you that you can advance a level, because you need to level these dreamstones up. I believe they go up to 70, and your character's capped at 50, but then as I said with the cursed gear, if you want all those attributes unlocked, you want to use your cursed bit of gear without any negative effects, you're going to have to work on dreamstones as well. So that is pretty much all you do. You have your tower, you have the ascended variant, you have your dreamstones, both standard and volatile. Then you have Lightbringer in the form of earth, air, water and fire. And you're just going to battle your way through these, grabbing some cool loot, building, putting your build together. And that is the end game and how to progress in Godfall Challenger Edition. So what we're going to do is leave the video there. Let me know your thoughts and stuff in the comments and I'll see you in the next one. I hope you guys enjoyed it.